Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you after an unbelievable 27-20 Dallas Cowboys loss at the hands of the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. What did I just watch? What did I just watch? My goodness. We're going to get into everything here in just a little bit, go through the game with you, some of the key moments, the highlights, go through the box score, talk about some key contributors in this one. We'll definitely get to that fourth quarter and we'll talk it up where the Cowboys went wrong. It's pretty obvious. All that and more. But first, here, right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Cowboys and especially the Cowboys during the NFL season. Thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Dallas Cowboys post-game content. Throughout the show, I'll be taking your questions. I'll be taking your comments. We'll get to it all. But first, let's start here. Oruwariye on that punt. You hate to bring it to one moment in the game. You hate to bring it to one moment in the game. But the Oruwariye punt, what are you doing? I mean, you felt like you were watching middle school football running around out there, and nothing against middle school football. I've coached it for many years myself, but we're talking looking like guys who have never played football before or special teams. You block a punt, and I think with how short the punt goes, it's fairly obvious what's happened. Very obvious what's happened. The punt has gone short. It's been blocked. It really feels like an absolute no-brainer. Just get out of the way. Don't touch the ball. Again, this is middle school fundamental football. You hate to say it's not. You hate to say it's not on the coaching staff at all. It feels like you almost have to look that direction. I mean, I think the Cowboys special teams, by and large, are pretty well coached. I love the coordinator, but it feels like that is just such a no-brainer play. I just have no words. Totally inexplicable that Oruwariye goes after that ball. You know it's been blocked. You know the punt is short. I know that you can't blame one play on a loss, but I think we can all admit and agree you just stay out of that and you let that ball maybe bounce to the 45 or the 50? Maybe 45 or 50? Either way, whether the ball, I know that there was some debate, ball touch, not touch. It doesn't matter. Stay out of the way. There's no way that you want to try and field a ball. You don't want to try and field the ball like that. Stay out of the way if you're in traffic. Whether the punt was blocked, touched, or not, if you're not a punt returner, stay out of the way. I just don't even know what to say. Anyone who is getting on and arguing back and forth whether the ball was touched, whether it wasn't, look, either way, get out of the way. It's not complicated. So anyone trying to excuse Oruwariye for that play, it wasn't ever touched, just stop. He should never even be close to the ball. In a situation like that, it is get out of the way. Whatever the call is. Peter, I don't know. Whatever call you have. That's what it was for me in middle school and high school. Whatever call you have to get out of the way. I just don't even understand why Oruwariye is even close to that football. It feels like that's what cost the Cowboys the game tonight. I know that it goes so much more beyond that, but it feels like that was the play. We're talking about Oruwariye touching the ball. I know that there's an argument that he didn't touch it. I don't care. I don't care. Football one-on-one on special teams, on a bouncing ball in traffic, get out of the way. Don't even try to field it at all. It's not an onside kick. We're not recovering an onside kick. It's just not even complicated to me. And I know he probably feels terrible. But look, the Cowboys get out of the way. That ball probably ends up on the Bengals' 45-yard line. And you've got the best kicker in the NFL, in my opinion, Brandon Aubrey, who at 45, at the 45, the plus 45, you're in Aubrey's range. I mean, you really didn't even have to do anything, and you're attempting a 60-yarder, which we all know Brandon Aubrey can hit. Yeah, you got to kill a little bit of clock, no doubt. You have to make sure that you wind that down a little bit. Don't give the Bengals a chance. But you were at minimum taking the lead from where you would have had the ball had you just stayed out of the way. Embarrassing. Very embarrassing. Cowboys had multiple chances, it felt like, to win this game. I'm going to get into a couple other points. Cooper Rush is another one we got to talk about. Cooper Rush. I mean, the last play wasn't the last play so fitting for Cooper. Wide open Ferguson beyond the sticks on 4th down. We're talking the very last play of the game here. Wide open beyond the sticks, and you can't hit a wide open receiver. You overthrow him by about 5 feet. And that felt like multiple times in the fourth quarter, you had Cooper Rush, wide open receiver, and it looks like you and me throwing the football out there. It looks like you got a rookie recess quarterback out there throwing the ball around. I really can't explain the wide open misses from Cooper Rush. We know he doesn't have the best arm strength. We know that he is not a starter in this league. But the misses of the wide open receivers tonight, it makes you feel like they're better off just starting Trey Lance and seeing what they have. It can't get worse than some of the wide open misses that you saw from Cooper Rush today. Cooper Rush, again, the last play of the game, you overthrow a wide open Ferguson by about 5 feet, and the game's over. It's very unlikely the Cowboys win the game if Cooper Rush is actually able to connect on that last play, but at least you have a shot. I also thought in that last sequence, the clock management by McCarthy was terrible. So you had Cooper Rush escaping, and then on the play before he got sacked for a major loss, he kind of stumbled forward, fell down right before midfield. That was about 45 seconds left, right? That would have been a perfect time for me to call timeout. Call timeout. Cooper's flustered. You've got 45 seconds. You had 2 timeouts, so you would have burned one and had one left over. Call timeout. 45 seconds left on the clock. You're at about midfield. It would have been 2nd down, and you could have just had a regroup. Just regroup. But instead, they sped it up. The clock ticks all the way down to 30 seconds. And then you've got Mike McCarthy finally calling the timeout after the sack. That clock management, to me, it continues to be suspect. I thought that was an awful decision. You've got to call timeout when Cooper Rush stumbles forward there for the 2-yard gain, and then it's 2nd down and 8 or whatever it is. You don't call timeout. You burn 15 more seconds while everybody gets set, and then Cooper Rush takes a sack. I really don't believe the clock management and just the terrible execution late. I want to get to a TikTok comment I'm seeing right now, something I wanted to share. Man, I think I missed it. Oh, here we go. D13. So all you had to do was run the ball tonight. I couldn't agree more with that comment. All you had to do was run the ball tonight. Rico Dowdle went off tonight. He went off. Rico Dowdle was incredible tonight. For all the hate Dowdle, I feel, gets at times, there's a lot of slander thrown his way. He's not an every down back, blah, blah, blah. Look, the jury's out for me somewhat. The Bengals defense is terrible. I don't think anybody needs to be crowning Dowdle based on a Bengals defense performance. But I will say this. He was going off tonight. There wasn't a big reason why you needed to have more passes than rushing attempts tonight. No reason. Rico Dowdle was well over 100 yards tonight. He went for 131. He was averaging 7 yards a carry. Why didn't you feed Rico tonight? Another coaching decision I just don't get. Rico has 18 carries. This was a night you needed Rico 25 plus carries at minimum, maybe close to 30. Take the ball out of Cooper Rush's hands. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn tonight. All you need to do is feed the Rock Tirico on a night when he's averaging 7.3 yards a carry and went off for 131 yards, had a nice run, the long of 27 tonight. Dude was going off. He was on one tonight. And instead of feeding that, you tried to continue to force the passing game, which, look, any competent quarterback, I think, could have sliced and diced this Bengals secondary regardless. Cooper Rush was struggling to hit wide open receivers. What are you going to do? So you're seeing that your quarterback can't hit wide open guys, but you continue to throw the ball anyways, despite all the success that you're having on the ground. Just disappointing. Don't even know what to say. I'm going to get to all y'all's comments in a little bit. I promise. Those of y'all that have been with me for a while, you know I get to it all in time. Got to do the opening rant. Got to get some of this stuff off my chest. Overshown. DeMarvion Overshown leaving with what the Cowboys call the knee injury. Prayers up for him. That is not good. I'm going to be glued to X later tonight, to socials, hoping that that man is okay. What a season he's had. Really, this season's been a coming out party for DeMarvion Overshown. You guys know I'm a big Texas Longhorns fan as well. Watched Overshown for many years now and really, really was excited after him being injured last year, coming out this year and really making an impact almost immediately. You hate to see a guy like that go down with the injury that he did. Really one of those freak injuries. A lineman falls on his knee, bends his leg. Just one of those really unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time injuries. Hope he's okay. I'll be continuing to check updates. Doubt the Cowboys come out with anything tonight. Maybe tomorrow we get an update, but just adding salt to the wound. Am I right? I mean, Overshown getting injured, just not what you want to hear. I think the positive, like the silver lining, and then I'll take questions and comments. At least you've worked yourself into a better spot to just go for the higher draft pick. At this point, are you really trying to still make the playoffs? You pretty much had to win out in order to make the playoffs. You needed to win this week. You needed to beat the Panthers next week. You needed to beat the Eagles and the Commanders. You basically needed to win out. Now, I think the Cowboys can just go into, I don't want to say full-on tank mode, but just rest some guys that are hurt. Throw Trey Lance out there. See what you got. I think this is a perfect opportunity. Throw Trey Lance out there. You're not going to make the playoffs at this point. You're just not. I don't see the Cowboys winning out. You've got to play Philly, who's going to be competing for the number 1 seed in the NFC. I don't think Detroit has wrapped it up quite yet. It's pretty close. But you know Washington is going to be fighting for their playoff lives as well. The Cowboys are going to be getting everybody's best shot. It's just not feasible that they end up making the playoffs. I think at this point, plug in some guys that you want to see for next year, whether or not they're going to be in the long-term plans. Throw out some of the guys that you drafted, give them more reps. See if Trey Lance can give you a spark. And I think all of that makes total sense. And you might actually end up improving your draft pick while you're at it. There we go. All right, Cowboys fans, let's check it out. So what's up, by the way, to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. We are going to get into a little Q&A, throwing out all your comments and questions. I'll sift through some of the haters. You know there's a lot of them, Cowboys Nation. A lot of haters out there. We'll sift through the trolls. We'll get to the good stuff. Here we go. This happened 2 years ago, and they didn't learn from it. It also happened, like 30 years ago? Like, this was totally shades of Leon Lett, was it not? Total shades of Leon Lett. Like, dude, just get out of the way. After the punt has been blocked, get out of the freaking way. Please. Please. All right, let me keep going here. Yeah, it was Lett 2.0, 100%. Appreciate the follows, by the way. Thank you so much for everybody that's following. Appreciate all y'all. Lucky Bucky, appreciate the comments. You were at the Thanksgiving game, huh? At least you saw a good one for Thanksgiving. Somebody should have blocked Oruwariye 100%. Somebody should have picked up Oruwariye and just sat his butt on the ground. Dude, get out of the way. Let me keep going here. AJ, what's up, man? If you're still tuned in, I think we found our running back. We need a quarterback that can take pressure. Yeah, I don't think the quarterback situation is going to get figured out. And And look, I do love Rico Dowdle. I think he's got a lot of heart. I think he runs hard. I think he's got potential. I think he's better as a change of pace, or at least kind of in a two-headed monster type backfield, kind of like the Cowboys honestly started him out as, right? It was going to be Dowdle and Zeke. I thought Zeke was not a great move. I didn't think that was it. I thought, hey, it's sentimental. It feels kind of good for a second. But Zeke was never it this year. I do think had you drafted a running back in the last year's draft, maybe then you pair that new draft pick with Dowdle and you've got this two-headed monster. I think that could have worked. I don't think Dowdle and Elliott was it. I don't think that was the tandem. And look, I hesitate to crown Dowdle after playing a very, very bad Bengals defense and torching them. This Bengals defense is terrible. I think we got to pump the brakes just a little bit on Dowdle. I'm not trying to hate on him. I'm not trying to discredit him. He had a great game, but let's just put it in perspective, right? Let's contextualize this. This was the worst defense, I think, in the NFL. If they're not the worst, they're bottom three, 100%. So I love what I got from Dowdle tonight. I don't want to sit here and say he's going to have this kind of success against everybody because he hasn't this year. But great game from him. The Cowboys needed to feed Rico more tonight, and they didn't. Really, I think a very, very poor coaching decision in the game plan. You had opportunities to just continue to wear down that Bengals defense, maybe occasionally mix in a pass. This just did not feel like a game as it unfolded where you needed to be passing the ball more than running it. Appreciate it. Let me keep going here. David, I'll take that compliment, man. I for whatever reason, I get a lot of Tony Romo comparisons, and I don't say that to be arrogant, but I never have thought of that at all. But hey, I'll take the Tony Romo comp 100%. Aaron, 5-8. Yes, sir. Is what it is. Let me keep going here. 27. Oruwariye's got to go. Man, Oruwariye was just coming off an injury, right? He had like a back injury. So he's just getting back on the field. And then you go and do something like this. I don't think they're going to cut him or anything, but my goodness, dude. Like, what are you doing out there? I just can't even believe it. I can't believe it. It feels, there is a comment here from Bill. What's up, man? If you're still tuned in, Bill, thanks for the comment. Bill says terrible coaching. I think you have to blame the coaching a little bit here. I don't get the game plan. Cooper Rush throwing the ball more than you ran it tonight. And look, Oruwariye, as much crap as we want to give Oruwariye for not getting out of the way, I don't want to blame the coordinator like it's his fault that Oruwariye doesn't know a simple fundamental fact on special teams when you're in punt coverage, right? Or when you're returning a punt, excuse me. But it feels like, do they just not go over that scenario? It's just so textbook. I mean, like I said, you're teaching elementary and middle school tackle football kids to get out of the way of punts, just drilling it into their brain. I mean, look, it happens even on the NFL level, clearly. It's just unbelievable that happened. I mean, they just get out of the way. The Cowboys win this game. I don't think Brandon Aubrey is going to be missing a field goal there. Look, the Bengals may have had an opportunity to get the ball back, even if the Cowboys go up 23-20, but you have a much better shot to win. That's for sure. Keep going here. Turpin needs more chances. I really agree with that comment. Turpin, for me, has got to be a guy that the Cowboys involve more tonight. He gets 2 carries, 15 yards, and he gets 1 reception, 4 targets. Look, I think a little bit of it is Cooper Rush not able to get receivers the ball. It's frustrating. And you guys heard me. I took last week off because of Thanksgiving, right? So the Thanksgiving game, you had CD dropping a number of passes. And in general, I thought over the past couple of games since Dak's been out, CD's body language has just been terrible. And I really, really like that you didn't see a lot of that from him tonight. He dropped, like 3 passes on Thanksgiving, or was it the game before? It's like, all right, maybe we're going to see the diva body language from CD stop on the sideline after like 2 or 3 drops on Thanksgiving. And look, Rush was not great tonight. He has not been great overall, but to be fair. The receivers have had their share of troubles too. Tolbert dropped the ball tonight. Like, it's not perfect, but Turpin, going back to the point, he's got to get the ball more. They've got to find ways to get the rock in his hands, whether it's screens, whether it's more jet sweeps, just something. He's, the fastest player, it feels like, in the NFL. I think they've got some stats to back that up, top 3 at minimum. So get the ball in his hands. I couldn't agree more with that. Let me keep going here. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Thank you for the follows. Y'all secondary got cooked. Look, I actually thought that the Bengals scoring that touchdown right away, I was like, good. At least the Cowboys have a shot to tie the game. I know that Chase cooks the secondary for the game-winning touchdown there. At that point, I had no faith that the Cowboys defense was going to make a stop. I thought Bengals were going to bleed the clock and kick a field goal. So I actually kind of saw it as glass half full. The Cowboys give up that bomb to Chase, and now you've actually got a shot to win the game. Either tie it or go ahead. So I know that Chase gets the 40-yard touchdown there. It doesn't look great. But at that point in the game, just the perspective I had was at least the Cowboys have a chance to possess the ball now. The Bengals aren't going to be able to just run out the clock and kick a field goal. Keep going here. Cowboys never had a chance this season. No O-line, no D-line, average defense, just Dak, CD, and Ferg. Look, I did not have high hopes for the Cowboys this year. I thought 9-8, maybe if we got lucky, caught a hot streak, 10-7, but I was pretty firm on 9-8 going into this year and even in the beginning stages of the season, even when Dak was healthy. So I agree. This was not an elite team at the onset of the year. It is what it is. I think at this point, you've got to start playing some guys that maybe are young guys that you're looking at for next year. You've got to start not full on tank mode, if you will, but you've got to start mixing in some new guys and setting yourself up well for next year. This year's over. This year's done. Let me keep on going here. Let's see what we got. Not sure what kind of season y'all expected. Look, I know that it's a cliche. The people that have been watching for a long time, following me for a long time, you guys know I'm not one of those Cowboys fans that always thinks every year is our year. There was a period, I think, in the late 2010s, early 2000s, where the Cowboys did have some really, really great teams, and they assembled really quality talent around Dak. I don't think that was this year. I'm definitely not one of those Cowboys fans, though, blindly every year, it's our year. But this year especially, I think most knowledgeable Cowboys fans did not see this team as a Super Bowl contending team. I surely didn't. You never know. A team can get hot. They can suddenly catch fire and totally surprise you, come out of nowhere. There was definitely always a small chance of that, but I thought 9-8. I thought this team was a 9-8 team. Keep going. Embarrassing performance. Love to see it. Enjoy. We need Genty. Yeah, look, Ashton Genty, he is definitely going to be well sought after. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to go after him. I really am not going to put it past them to totally screw up the first-round draft pick. The last several first-round draft picks, to me, have not felt great. So you've got Mozzie Smith. That one stands out. No idea what they were thinking with that pick. And then Guyton this year has been very off and on. For me, Guyton, not sure that he's living up to the first-round hype either. I really don't trust the Cowboys with the first-round draft pick. If they have a shot at Genty, that's great. I don't know if they're going to take him or not. They have really had a stubbornness to taking running backs lately at all in the draft. I know they drafted Zeke 10 years ago or whatever it was, but since then, you're drafting Deuce Vaughn and a couple of guys super late. So for me, I'm not sure what the Cowboys are going to do with the draft pick. I surely don't have super high hopes that they get the draft pick right. Appreciate the follows, by the way. Number 27 is cut, and Cooper Rush needs to pack his bags. I think that's probably going to happen, at least the second part. I don't think Cooper Rush is coming back again next year. Look, I think you've seen all you need to see. Yeah, is he a guy that can go in and I guess like fill game time for you? Sure. And he knows the offense. The guy's missing wide open passes. I really don't know how else you spin it positively. The guy's missing wide open passes. Seriously. Let me keep on going. Somebody on YouTube says Cowboys are embarrassing, a laughing stock just like the Jets. I don't know if Cowboys are Jets level bad. I think the Jets are worse than the Cowboys this year, but it's getting laughable. It is getting Jets laughable. Tristan, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Block punt. Just the whole botched block punt definitely hurt us. Go Cowboys, though. Tristan, appreciate you tuning in, man. Thank you so much. Dak definitely wins this game. British and USA, appreciate the comment if you're still hanging out. Totally agree. Dak definitely wins this game. This was there for the taking. There were so many opportunities to win this game for the Cowboys. Dak, I do think, gets the job done. I'm not a Dak apologist by any means. I like Dak, love Dak as a person, think he's a great man, great leader. But Dak, I think, totally wins this game, takes over, gets the job done for the Cowboys. The Bengals defense is just so bad. So bad. It's really sad that the Cowboys only scored 20 points tonight on this Bengals defense. This easily could have been a Cowboys win. You definitely had several questionable calls and key mistakes down the stretch that gave the game away to the Bengals. Let me keep going. Tom, what's up, man? I knew from the jump that this team was not going to do anything. If you watched the draft and saw the base players leave, you knew 100%. 100%. 9-8 was the best I thought this team was going to do before the Dak injury. That's the best I thought this team was doing. John, what's up, man? Thanks for all the comments. Appreciate it. Dude, shades of Leon Lett on that block punt, finding new ways to lose. This is a new one. Again, like I'm a football coach. Look, I don't profess to be the best of the best, but I've been coaching football for a lot of years. I coach middle schoolers, and this is basic stuff you teach middle schoolers and elementary school kids in the game of football. If you are on punt return, stay the freak away from the punt. Like, stay away from the punt if you are not the returner. Like, let it bounce around. Do not try to field it. It's not an onside kick. Stay away. I just don't even get that. Appreciate the comment, John. Good to see you, man. Let's keep going here. No O-line, no D-line, average defense. Yep, we read that comment already. New coach next year. Yeah, 100%. Kane, what's up, man? Thanks for the comment. 100% new coach next year. I don't think that McCarthy gets another pass just because Dak was injured, but nothing is going to shock me. Like, if all of a sudden across my phone screen I got Jerry Jones inks McCarthy to extension, that just would not shock me. Nothing would surprise me. Would I re-sign Mike McCarthy? No. I think you got to go out and get somebody new, somebody innovative. I would be 100% for bringing on a guy like Mike Vrabel, a Cliff Kingsbury. I've said that many times. They need some new blood. Look, I know Mike McCarthy has had 12-5, the last 3 years except for this one. But the playoff success is not there. I think you're seeing a plateau and now a slight decline. I think the time is now. Get a new coach in there. Let me keep going. Cooper Rush is not it. He threw this game away. Literally, Cooper Rush threw this game away. The last pass of the game, 5-10 feet, whatever it was, over Jake Ferguson, wide open, Jake Ferguson's head on fourth down. And there was another throw on an out route that Cooper Rush completely missed earlier in that drive or on the possession before. Cooper Rush was missing wide open dudes tonight. It was just the most frustrating thing. I know he's not a starter, but you'd like to think that even a backup NFL quarterback can hit guys wide open in space. And Jake Ferguson on that last fourth down play, not saying the Cowboys win if Cooper Rush connects there, but you never know. You spike the ball and you've got one chance to heave it up in the end zone and anything can happen. But Cooper Rush not being able to hit the broadside of a barn tonight, frustrating. Incredibly frustrating. Keep going here. Appreciate the comments. I'm going to try and get caught up here. Another Leon Lett, my trauma has come back. JD Lone Wolf, appreciate the comment, man. I feel you. Let me keep going. Parsons can cry about it tomorrow. Yeah, look, I get it. And I don't want to say Parsons was showing up to teammates, but it felt like the walk-off and just the pouting on the sideline. I know you're pissed off about the fact that you just gave away the game, Oruwariye, on the terrible decision on the punt return after the block, but I don't love the pouting walking off to the sideline or the locker room and not really sticking around. I don't think Mike McCarthy's the problem, so don't take it the wrong way. I don't think Mike McCarthy is the problem, but I think that he's not the answer. I think that's the best way I can put it. Mike McCarthy is not the problem, but he's not the answer either. I don't trust the Cowboys with a cup of coffee. Maybe that's in reference to my comment. I don't trust the Cowboys to do the right thing with the draft pick next year. I don't trust the Cowboys to make the right decision with the coaching. Are you guys ever going to win a game? We were doing pretty good. We had that nice little Thanksgiving game. I thought maybe we're about to do a little 4-game win streak, beat the Bengals, beat the Panthers, and then like miraculously be like 7-7. I thought we were heading that way, y'all. I really did. I thought tonight would be a win. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout. I thought Joe Burrow would give the Cowboys a lot of trouble, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as well, but I thought this was going to be a win. It should have been a win. It wasn't meant to be. Over the next 5 years, who has the most success in DFW? This is a good question, especially if you're like me, a fan of DFW sports. So for me, Mavericks, Rangers, Cowboys. I also love the Texas Longhorns as well. Happy for the SMU Mustangs also. Let's see what they can do in the playoff. Behind the Longhorns, they're definitely a team that I'll be cheering for. We'll see what happens. That'll be fun. We talked Longhorns a couple days ago, but look, I don't know who's going to have more success. I'm going to go ahead right now. Most success, I've got to go Dallas Mavericks. Luka, Kyrie, I think they're going to have the most success. Depends on what you say by or what you mean by success, but in terms of wins, I think probably Luka, Kai. Dallas Stars, I think, are probably up there too. It's either the Mavs or the Stars. I think both of those teams are going to be really good this year, next year, for the foreseeable future. Good question. Keep going. As a Bengals fan, Alan, what's up, man? If you're still tuned in, I thought it was all over. Man, I thought it was all over too. In fact, I turned away from the screen. I was doing a bunch of stuff around the house tonight, trying to get ready for the show. And I actually saw the blocked punt, and I started walking away. I'm like, all right, yes. And then I went to go do a couple other things. I come back, and the Bengals have the ball. I'm like, what happened? What happened? Like, I saw the blocked punt, and I just look away for a second. I'm like, all right, they're going to clear out. They're going to have the ball at the 45. Here we go. And then I come back, and the Bengals still have the ball. Had to rewind a little bit, and sure enough, Oruwariye with an inexplicable boneheaded play. Keep going here. Thanks for all the follows, by the way. Appreciate you. Jake, next year's your year, though, right? Look, you got to laugh sometimes. Next year, we'll see what the Cowboys do. I'll be fair. I'll definitely try and be objective. Let's see what the Cowboys do in the offseason. Off seasons can be everything. You can have a really good draft. You can sign some really quality players in free agency, and you can have a very solid team. It's not like it's hard to go out there and put together, I think, at least a decent average NFL football team, but you got to be willing to be creative, spend a little money, and you've got to hit on the draft picks. I think that's the big thing, is you've got to hit on your draft picks. But there's a lot of parity in the NFL. Like, from year to year, a team can be really bad, and then they can become really good, and it can go the opposite way as well. You can have a really good team one year, and the next year that same team is a losing team. I mean, look at the Cowboys this year. 12-5 last year, and this year they're going to miss the playoffs completely. It happens all the time in the NFL. So we'll see what the Cowboys do in the offseason. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to be able to do anything to jump into Super Bowl contention. I think they can get back to the playoffs next year with some good moves. And you've got to see how the draft picks work out. That's my take on next year. Parsons, 0 tackles. And look, one of my buddies, really good buddies from high school, who I always text with during the games, got a good little group chat going. He just said Parsons just is out of shape. Like, the dude is always winded on the sideline. You saw him multiple times tonight taking breathers. What is up with Parsons was the comment. And I kind of agree. No tackles tonight. You're off on the sideline, needing a breather. Like every other play, it felt like. I don't know. And I know Parsons was getting held a little bit tonight, and I know that they put a lot of emphasis on Micah Parsons when offenses and offensive lines are planning, but nevertheless, you feel like Micah has just got to find a way to overcome, be more impactful, rise above the double teams, and make something happen for this defense, especially when Overshown goes out. You've got to have somebody step up. Have to. 100%. Let me keep going here. Number 27, free agent tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be, but I feel that way inside. I feel that way. Oruwariye, pack the bags. Look, I don't wish ill will on anybody. That man's got a family, a livelihood. Yeah, he's trying to make money. I totally get it. But look, that's how I feel tonight too. Like, he does not need to be playing special teams at minimum anymore. You couldn't drop 40 on the Bengals defense. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you only drop 20 on the worst defense in the NFL? I don't know. John, if you're still hanging out, he says more injuries too. Is it time to tank again? I think you do the, not full-fledged tank, but I think you do like the covert tank, if you will. You start Trey Lance next week. You start some guys that don't normally get playing time. You give some veterans that are maybe a little bit banged up a breather. So you're not doing all out obvious tank, but you're doing a little covert tank, giving guys some opportunities, looking at some guys for next year. I think you've got to get a top 10 draft pick. Like, the worst thing you could do is win some games late, and now you're drafting 12th, 13th, whatever it is, and you're just in no man's land. I'd love to see the Cowboys at least in the top 10. You definitely want to be up there for next year. You're not going to make the playoffs this year. I think you have got to get into good draft pick position. I'm not doing all out obvious tank, but I'm starting Trey Lance. I'm starting some guys that I drafted over the past couple of seasons that are kind of mixing in and out at this point. And you just see where the chips fall, right? You see how the dice lays, and you go from there. Keep going. Appreciate all the comments, by the way. Micah Parsons, do not have that dog. Micah Parsons has a lot of potential. I feel like the attitude and like the intangibles sometimes hold him back a little bit. Like tonight after the game, I know you're frustrated with Oruwariye. I know you're frustrated. You forced 4th down. You sacked Joe Burrow, big play. And then the special teams gives the ball right back. I know it's frustrating. As a leader, you have got to rise above. Handle it in the locker room. I'm all for it. Micah Parsons, if behind closed doors you want to go chew out Oruwariye for the boneheaded play on that punt, by all means. But publicly, I'm just not there for that. That's just not my style. Maybe y'all are into that. I'm just not a big fan of pouting visibly on the sideline, the bad body language. You want to chew somebody's butt out behind closed doors at practice in the locker room, go for it. But for me, Parsons, I just don't love the antics at the end of the game. You didn't have a great game overall on defense. You had a couple of hurries, a couple of plays where Joe Burrow was under duress, under pressure. But Micah Parsons, no tackles tonight, 2 quarterback hits. So he's getting pressure on Burrow, and I know that they double him quite often, but at the end of the game, it just kind of typifies totally what's going on this year with the Cowboys. The frustration's boiling over. You've got some divas, and it's just not ideal. You just need guys being leaders out there. This already isn't a great season. Don't make it worse by pouting and having the bad body language on the sideline. Just not a fan of it. Let me keep going here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. He can talk about it on his show, Morris, 100%. I'm sure he will. I'm sure, you know what, he'll gather his thoughts for a couple of days, and then, you know, he'll find a way to make up for it or apologize. I don't think he'll apologize, but he'll find a way to explain it away on the podcast. But I'm not here for it. Let me keep going. Morris, appreciate the comment, man. Keep going here. See what we got. Anything else? Yeah, this totally, I think, for me, it just kind of shows you what the Cowboys usually like to do to their fans. So this season, you definitely felt like when Dak goes down, Cowboys had no chance. Then all of a sudden, they start to win some games, and then you say to yourself, okay, we've got the Bengals, they can't stop anybody. We've got the Panthers. Yeah, they're on the rise, but they're still the Panthers. Could we be 7-7 and maybe have a chance to make the playoffs? But this is what the Cowboys do, man. They get your hopes up a little bit, and then they find a way to crush it. Lamont, I'm thinking of Stephen A 100% right now. You know Stephen A is about to go off. If he hadn't already, he's probably posted something already. Although I do know he came out. When was it? It was after the Dak injury. Stephen A came out and was basically like, it's not even funny anymore how bad the Cowboys are. And I got to say, I think he's right. Like, it's not even funny how bad the Cowboys are right now on offense. Rico Dowdle has a nice game, but you only can put up 20 points on the worst defense in the NFL. You've got a quarterback that can't even hit a wide open receiver. At some point, it's not funny. It's just depressing and terrible. And that is how I felt watching this game, at least the ending. I felt like they had a pretty good shot to win the game, especially when they stopped Joe Burrow on that third down, blocked the punt, but you find new ways to lose, as my friend John says. John, I'll get to this real quick. I'll get into this more on Wednesday's show. So, John, if you want to get that on your calendar, man, Wednesday I'll do my Rangers pod. Rule 5 draft is on Wednesday, so I'll be back to cover the Texas Rangers in a couple of days here, and we'll talk Juan Soto contract. Instant reaction, though, on the Juan Soto contract. I think it's a huge overpay. Honestly, I felt the same way about Ohtani. And for a second, at least this year, I've been proven wrong about the Ohtani deal. Maybe he really is worth all that money. But Juan Soto, a guy that you think is probably going to be a big-time DH at the end of his career, you're paying a lot of money for a guy that's probably going to do a lot of DH in his 30s. Not a huge fan. I think the Yankees, they look bad for a second losing out to the Mets, but I think they're going to look back on this and probably be thankful that they didn't dump $765 million into one player. Juan Soto's a great player. Love the on-base percentage. Love a lot of what I get from Juan Soto. Not sure I want to pay him $765 million. More baseball on Wednesday, though. Come back. Join me on Wednesday. We'll talk all things MLB, especially the Texas Rangers. We'll talk Rule 5 draft and any other free agent signings. Appreciate all the comments. Keep going here. I'll see if I can catch up on TikTok a little bit. Soto's a liability in the field. Yeah, that's why I think they're going to end up DHing him most of the time, but we'll see. Yeah, Keegan, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Just such a frustrating loss. I don't know if there's any other way to put it. It's just unbelievable that the Cowboys just keep finding these ridiculous ways to lose ball games. And Oruwariye, the play that he made tonight, it's not the sole reason they lose this game, because you just don't know what's going to happen afterwards. Did the Cowboys kick a field goal and then the Bengals come down and torch the defense for a touchdown to win the game? You know, did the Cowboys bleed the clock out, kick a game winner? You just can't play that game. So I hate to say that's the play that loses this one, but it sure wasn't the play that contributed to any type of victory. Let me put it that way. I really do hope we get a higher draft pick. Keegan, totally agree with that. Cowboys definitely should have won. Appreciate the comment, Squabble. Yeah, Micah Parsons, homeboy. We've been talking about Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has got to find a way to get more production on the defensive side. 2 quarterback hits tonight. That's really all you got. And this is a good opportunity for us to go through the defense and kind of talk about some performances here. Big Cat, I'm with you. Diggs, questionable game from him. Lufau, I loved what I saw from him at times. He had 1.5 sacks tonight, 2 quarterback hits, a tackle for a loss. We had also Kendricks with 12 total tackles. I thought Kendricks had a great game. Donovan Wilson was flying around out there. He had a 1/2 sack tonight. And then Jordan Lewis and Malik Hooker, each with 7 tackles. Overshown was well on his way to double-digit tackles. He had 6 before he went out injured. And then you had, obviously, a few other guys getting in the mix there as well. Bland had 5 tackles tonight, had a couple of quarterback hits himself. Oh, excuse me. I'm looking at a couple other guys. I'm looking at Lufau. Yeah, Bland tonight, 1 pass deflection, 5 tackles total for him. Diggs with 3 pass breakups tonight, but I think it just looks bad, that final play where you have Chase just burning everybody. It just wipes out any type of positive. But there were a few bright spots. Eric Kendricks, I thought, had a really, really great game tonight. 12 total tackles. Wilson, 9 total tackles. I think those two high up there on the list for players of the game on defense. Rico Dowdle, we already talked about, 131 yards on the ground, 7.3 yards a carry. Rico Dowdle balled out tonight. Really a shock to me that the Cowboys choose to go more pass heavy. 31 attempts passing the football, 25 carries combined among all the running backs featured tonight. Dowdle, Zeke Elliott got in the mix for a couple carries. Lamb and Turpin each carried the ball. But there was really no reason not to give Rico Dowdle the rock tonight, especially in that fourth quarter. Not the last possession, but the possession before last. You came out real pass heavy. I really felt like they could have easily just fed Rico 2 downs in a row, or maybe you pass on first down and you run second down, third down. I really thought that the play in the fourth quarter, about halfway through, the Cowboys' probably second to last possession, give Rico the rock. Like, let him eat. He is absolutely killing it. 7.3 yards a carry. This was Rico's night to cook. They kind of took it out of his hands and let Cooper Rush lose you the game, throwing 16 for 31, 183 yards. 2 touchdowns tonight, an interception, took 3 sacks. Cooper Rush, I think you got to go to Trey Lance. I really don't know why you keep throwing Rush out there at this point. Let's go ahead and let's just get Trey Lance in there. Maybe it ensures that we get a little bit of a higher draft pick. I don't know. Overshown out for the season. Is that official now? I wouldn't be shocked. That looked like a gnarly injury, real gnarly injury. I'm not seeing anything yet, but I'm just looking on Google right now. Not seeing anything official, but I'm not going to be surprised if he's out for the season. Homeboy, is that an official report, or are you just musing on that one? I definitely wouldn't be surprised. That leg got bent back nasty. I really do not think he's probably going to be playing football the rest of the year, and there's really no reason to. Lamont, I'm totally with you on this. This is a good comment on YouTube. Lamont says, pay Parsons his money or trade him. I think that they are probably going to pay him. I don't see them trading him. Now, if it was me, I probably would trade Micah Parsons. I love Micah Parsons. I think that he's a guy that does bring an X factor, a lot of energy to a defense, but I don't know if you want to dump a ton of money into Micah Parsons. I just don't know if his position is impactful enough to pay him crazy dollars. You have seen Micah kind of disappear in some big games. He is a guy that draws a lot of attention from a defense, but I think the Cowboys really should try and trade Parsons and get what they can for him. I don't know if you're going to be able to get a first-round draft pick for him. I don't even know what the market would be for Parsons, but I would not be opposed to trading him. I don't think the Cowboys would be wise to dump a lot of capital into Micah Parsons. I just don't know if the position is impactful enough on the defensive side of the ball. And I just don't think that you want to restrict yourself that much cap-wise. Parsons is going to get paid. Somebody is going to pay him. I would probably pivot and I would try and hand off the keys to Overshown, draft a couple other edge guys, linebackers in subsequent drafts, and maybe look to improve the offense with the picks that I get from Parsons. I don't know if giving Parsons the bag is the best idea. Lamont says a second round pick for Parsons. I think that would be a win. If you can get a second round pick, if you can get somebody to give you a first, I mean, that's a no-brainer. But if you can get a second round pick for Parsons, I think that's very healthy. You don't have to pay him, and you get a second round pick for him. You can get some quality players in the second round. Again, use the pick, improve the offense, draft another edge guy, draft another linebacker. Hopefully Overshown's injury isn't crazy, but I think we've got another Parsons type in Overshown. So I think you can, in good conscience, get rid of Parsons, and then you've got Overshown willing to step up there, draft another young linebacker or edge guy, and I think you're back in business. That's what I would do. I think the Cowboys are going to probably pay him, though. I really can't see the Cowboys getting rid of Micah. I think they're probably going to give him the bag. I wouldn't, but they don't pay me the big bucks. Let me keep going here. Cowboys can say goodbye to Turpin next year. Yeah, Turpin, I know he is probably going to be wanting a lot more money, and somebody's going to give it to him. Cool that the Cowboys gave him a chance coming out of the UFL or whatever league it was. I know they've like merged it a couple of different times, but look, Turpin is a great story. I'd love to keep him around, but he's another guy that needs to go get paid. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be willing to pay him. Keep going here. Needed one more field goal for $1.5K for 1,500. Aubrey would have had it, but the game ends in the worst possible way. That's crazy. That's crazy. So what was the bet, by the way, on that? Dolo, if you are still in, let me know what the bet was. What was it, like Aubrey over 3 field goals or something like that? I mean, because look, I'm trying to think. The line tonight was Cowboys was plus 4.5. So that obviously would have worked out nicely. Look, the fact that they scored that touchdown really did screw over a lot of Cowboys backers. If you back the Cowboys tonight, even with that Oruwariye mistake, you're thinking Bengals are just going to methodically work it down, kick a field goal, and you're going to cash on plus 4.5. The Bengals scored that touchdown, and now the Bengals are covering minus 4.5. Real tough beat if you bet the Cowboys. It is what it is. But Brandon Aubrey, yeah, pretty much money. I mean, he would have, I think, made that field goal even from that 45-yard line, a 62-yarder. We know Aubrey's got it in him. I think it was basically money in the bank that the Cowboys were going to go up 23-20 at minimum. If Oruwariye just stays out of the dang way, wasn't meant to be. Keep going here. Overshown injury broke me. By far my favorite Cowboy this season. Overshown reminded me a lot of Parsons in his first year. Like, just gets shot out of a cannon pursuing the run. Just a dynamic player that is all over the field seemingly. So, like I said, if you did trade Parsons, I think handing the keys over to Overshown, you've still got Tank Lawrence. You've still got some dudes on defense. Go draft a linebacker, go draft an edge guy, and you're back in business. I really don't want to see them give a huge amount of money to Micah Parsons. Green agreed. Overshown shouldn't hurry back at all. There's no reason to rush Overshown. In fact, he really probably shouldn't even play another game if we're being honest. Maybe he does come back out. If you're 100% healthy, I do think you should be out there. But if you're banged up a little bit, I really don't see a huge benefit anymore in playing. I think at this point, rest up, and maybe you allow the Cowboys, you allow your team to get a little bit of a better draft pick. Keep going. Appreciate all the comments, guys. Thanks for the follows. If you're not following the channel, you're not subscribed to the account yet, would greatly appreciate if you hit that follow or subscribe button. We go live after every Cowboys game here at Right on Rangers. We also cover the Texas Longhorns, the Texas Rangers, all the teams we love from the great state of Texas. Thanks for supporting the channel. Appreciate you guys. Chagoat is the best. You out-Bengaled my Bengals tonight. Yeah, look, Jamar Chase, I would love to have another receiver alongside CD. I think Turpin, he's not quite there with the ball skills and everything else. And when I say that, like I don't know if you can run Turpin as your number 2 guy. I think he's got a lot of talent. I don't know if he is built for that kind of action. I think that the Cowboys would do well to go get somebody to run alongside CD, whether you draft a wide receiver or trade for one. But Jamar Chase, dude, is him. I love watching Jamar Chase play. I think it's the coolest thing that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get to play together in college and the NFL. I really like that tandem. Whenever they're not playing the Cowboys, I find myself cheering for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and they killed it. They crushed it tonight. Absolutely. Cowboys are the most loyal but hurtful fans. Look, I'm Cowboys ride or die, rain or shine. I don't shy away when the Cowboys lose incredibly embarrassingly like they did tonight. I'll still be here yapping, talking boys, but look, it's not fun. It's not fun watching it. It's just not fun watching the Cowboys, as my friend John from earlier in the show said, find new ways to lose. They just do. Ways that you wouldn't even think were possible to lose. We keep going here. I hate Cowboys fans. Love you too. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, man, I missed a comment. What is the comment about Skip? Skip Bayless says Rush is better than Dak. Yeah, look, in the moment, I think when Rush first came back on the scene and he had like a halfway decent game, I think a lot of people said, is this offense like just as good with Rush as it is Dak? And I think what you're seeing is, teams prepare for Dak. They hadn't quite prepared for Cooper Rush. So in the beginning, you had a little bit of success with Rush. He looked adequate. But as the sample size gets bigger and bigger with Cooper, there's less surprises. There's more to take advantage of. So, yeah, Skip Bayless saying that Rush is better than Dak. Yeah, total hot take, but I don't think that's really a shock if you know Skip Bayless. Keep going. Houday, good game. Keep Rico. Look, I think, and I said this earlier in the show, I think the play is and was draft somebody to run alongside Rico Dowdle. I don't think Rico is a 3-down back, but could he be a really good 2-down back or a guy that you run in tandem, kind of like what they do in Detroit with Gibbs and Montgomery? 100%. I think that Rico Dowdle would be a great duo with another guy. Again, maybe a guy that you pick up in free agency, maybe a guy that you draft in this coming draft. I think that Rico has done admirably well this year, but I do think that he needs a running mate. I think you've got to have somebody that can run alongside him, a la Gibbs and Montgomery for the Lions. Healthy Cowboys would have won. Agreed. I think Dak, Zach Martin healthy, Overshown playing the full game, Tank Lawrence, the list goes on. Healthy Cowboys win this game 100%. I can't say, I can't say that I feel really any doubt that would have happened. I think healthy Cowboys, Dak wins this game. We already talked about that. This game was way too close against a backup quarterback. If you're the Bengals, you barely win, and you get lucky to win against Cooper Rush and a bunch of backups in for the Cowboys. We keep going. Jesse, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Jesse says OSU has 2 running backs going into the draft. If we're not able to get Genty, I definitely would love to have a guy like him, but I think that he is going to be on a lot of teams' top of the board. I don't know if he's going to be there for the Cowboys. It just depends on where we get. I think spending a high draft pick on a running back would be wise for the Cowboys to do. You've got CD, you've got Dak. I'd love to have another receiver alongside CD that poses a threat, but we got to get a quality running back in there, somebody that is able to spell Rico Dowdle. I think the play would be you go Dowdle and you go that new green running back that you draft, and then maybe eventually that guy you draft becomes the star, maybe not, but I think that's the play. Absolutely. Let's see. Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins, round 2. I think round 2 is definitely what you need to be thinking about. You maybe don't want to do a round 1 running back, but round 2, there's going to be some dudes available. I really would like to see the Cowboys in either the first or second round take a running back. I kind of wanted to see it. I've really wanted to see it the past 2 years, and the Cowboys have just refused to draft a running back. I don't know if you waste it in the first round or not. I would have loved Bijan Robinson last year, being the Texas Longhorns fan that I am. Maybe you don't waste a first-round draft pick on a running back, but I think you've got to go get one in round 2. You've got to go get one in round 2. Keep going here. Jesse, appreciate the comments, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. Who'd you like to see be the coach if they let McCarthy go? Great question. We kind of talked about this a little bit already. I would love to see a guy like Mike Vrabel or a guy like Cliff Kingsbury. And I know that those guys are kind of two opposites, if you will. So you've got Mike Vrabel, kind of from that Belichick tree, old school, defensive coach. But then you've got Cliff Kingsbury, innovative, offensive mind. I think that he's had a lot of success with Jaden Daniels this year, a big reason why Jaden Daniels has popped. Do I think that Cliff Kingsbury or Mike Vrabel are like the end-all, be-all? No. But I don't know if there are a ton of better options out there. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I heard a little bit of noise about Robert Saleh coming to the Cowboys. Look, I'd like to see Robert Saleh as a D coordinator. Sorry, I'm just verifying real quick. Since we've been going over an hour, TikTok starts cutting me. I wouldn't mind Saleh as like a coordinator, but I don't really know if I want Saleh as my head coach. But Mike Vrabel, I loved what he did with the Titans. And Cliff Kingsbury, he has some moments with the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray and that relationship started souring a little bit. But Cliff Kingsbury had some moments with the Cardinals. It crashed and burned late on. But I do think what he's done with Jaden Daniels makes you think maybe he could do the same in Dallas. I really don't know, though, if Cliff Kingsbury is going to want to come to the Cowboys if he can't draft the new quarterback or have his quarterback of choice. That is the one thing. I don't know how many new coaches are going to want to hitch their wagon to Dak. Of course, you're going to get a guy that accepts the Cowboys job because it's the Cowboys. It's an NFL position, and it's the Cowboys, the biggest franchise in all of sports. But are you going to get some of these highly sought-after coaches willing to hitch their wagon to Dak? Because that essentially is what you would have to do unless Jerry Jones decides to trade Dak away. Are you going to get, a guy like Ben Johnson? Jesse, I know you're bringing up Ben right now. Like Ben Johnson, I think would be a great move. Does Ben Johnson want to coach Dak? I think that is going to continue to be the question that you've got to throw out there with any coach that starts coming up as potential replacements for McCarthy. Does Mike Vrabel want to coach Dak? Does a guy like Ben Johnson want to hitch his wagon to Dak? Does Cliff Kingsbury want to come to Dallas if he has to have Dak as his quarterback? I tend to think no. I tend to think the Cowboys are probably going to get, I don't want to say a lower level coach, but I tend to think the Cowboys are going to get somebody that's very easily controllable, if you will. Somebody that is going to be a yes man to Jerry and Steven. Somebody that is going to say yes to Dak. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to get some of the big names if they are unwilling to allow that coach to have their choice of quarterback. And you know what? Maybe we get lucky and a Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel says, you know what? I'll try Dak for a year, but if it's not working, I need my own guy. And they have kind of a backdoor, whatever you want to call it, behind closed doors agreement. I don't know, though. I think a lot of these up-and-coming coaches, a lot of the big names that are going to be on the market this NFL offseason are going to want to have a lot of say over the quarterback position. Keep going. As long as Jerry Jones doesn't get a real GM, you're not going to be successful. I don't think that the Cowboys are going to be getting a new GM anytime soon. I think we've got the Jones family for a while now. Steven, I think, is actually more of the brains than Jerry is at this point. I think Jerry's the mouthpiece. He's the guy that gets propped up in the media. But honestly, I think the reports and a lot of what I've read, Steven makes a lot of the big decisions. Jerry's the guy that gets thrust out there after every single game, and he's kind of the easy target in the media. But I think, honestly, Steven has a pretty big say in how things work. And no matter what happens to Jerry, I think Steven is just going to continue to do the same thing. They have put together some quality teams. I can't take that away from them. But the last couple of years have me questioning. That's for sure. Do I think we have a chance to win against the Panthers? I don't know. I think it's too hard to say right now as we look forward to the Panthers game. So are the Cowboys just going to go full-on tank mode? Or as I like to call it, covert tank mode? Are they going to start Trey Lance? Are they going to hold back guys like CeeDee Lamb? Overshown, I would imagine, is not going to play. Are you going to not play some of the guys that are a little bit beat up in the starting lineup? That would to me kind of be like a covert tank. Like, you're not full on trying to lose, but you're not putting your team in the best position to win. So I think the Panthers wouldn't be shocked if they knock off the Cowboys, but got to see who's playing and who's not. And with the loss tonight, I think you can definitely throw it all up in the air. Who knows what the starting lineups are going to be? Had the Cowboys won tonight, I think you would have had everybody in the starting lineup because the Cowboys still would have had a shot to potentially make the playoffs by winning out. Would have been a tough road beating the Eagles and the Commanders, but nevertheless, they had a chance. Losing tonight, though, I think you kind of have to start going into a bit of that tank mode. Keep going. Appreciate all y'all. Thank you. Yeah, Xander, good point. We were talking about how a new coach is probably going to want some control over who the quarterback is. Look at what Sean Payton did with the Broncos. Sean Payton, he wanted a lot of control. He wanted to be the GM, and the Cowboys obviously weren't going to allow him to do that. That was a guy you could have, I think, easily fired McCarthy to go out and get. We've talked about earlier in the season, you could have fired Mike McCarthy and gotten Sean Payton. You could have gone and got Harbaugh, but those were guys that wanted a lot of say in the personnel, and I don't think that the Cowboys were willing to do that, and so I don't even think that they even try because Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, they know, yeah, Jim Harbaugh wants some say in the personnel. They know, yeah, Sean Payton, he wants some say in the personnel. And then you've got a guy like Mike McCarthy who's going to just be a yes man. And then you've got other coaches that are just going to want to be the Dallas Cowboys head coach because it's the Dallas Cowboys, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. There's status with that, right? It's the biggest franchise in all of sports. If you get offered that job, of course you're going to take it. And if it means saying yes, 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 yes to Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, bring it on, especially if you haven't been a coach in the league before. So I think the Cowboys are probably going to find a yes man to be their next coach. You're going to have to be stuck with Dak no matter what. If it was me, I would maybe try and work out a deal. Go get Ben Johnson from the Lions and say, Ben, give Dak 1 year. Give Dak 1 year and see how it goes. And then if it's not working, we'll try and work out a trade, draft somebody new. I don't know if you're just going to dump Dak, especially coming off an injury right here. I can't see that happening. I do think bringing in a new coach, you say, give me 1 year with Dak. We'll see how it goes, and then we need to reevaluate. But yes, I do know that Jerry is a big Dak fan. I'm not hopeful that's actually going to happen. Let me keep going here. 39th Street, what's up, man? Oh, from KC, sweet. In the Air Force for 20 years. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I thank you for all the comments as well. Emmanuel, what's up, bro? Thanks for tuning in. Why would Ben go to the Cowboys? Because it's a head coaching opportunity. It's getting to be the head coach of the biggest franchise in pro sports. And I think that they definitely will be in the mix. Is Ben Johnson ultimately going to decide to be the Cowboys head coach? I don't know. If I was him, I wouldn't want to be the Lions offensive coordinator forever. I know you've got a good thing going, but if I'm Ben Johnson, I don't want to be the Lions offensive coordinator forever, but it all depends on your mindset. Some people are good with being second fiddle. Personally, if I'm him and I've had that much success as the Lions offensive coordinator and I'm that well sought after around the league, I want to take advantage of it at some point and at least give head coaching a shot. So I absolutely think Ben Johnson is going to be on the move, but maybe he'll just be one of those guys that just stays a coordinator. I don't think so. I think he'll probably be gone to a new team in the offseason. Could be wrong. That's just my feel. Appreciate the follow, by the way. Thank you so much. The backdoor agreement about the quarterback is exactly what happened in Denver, in my opinion. Yeah, so you had Sean Payton basically. I think, Xander, I'm glad you brought that up. I actually had that on my mind, on the tip of my tongue, and then I got distracted. So think about Sean Payton. Xander, brilliant comment. So you had Sean Payton taking the job in Denver. Russell Wilson was there. And you feel like the ownership probably told Sean Payton, give Russ a shot. Let's see how it goes for a year. And then after that, we'll allow you to draft a quarterback of your choice, or at least make a move on the quarterback that you want, whether through trade or draft. And that is exactly what happened. Sean Payton basically forced Russell Wilson out, and then he got to choose Bo Nix, got to pick his quarterback. I think that's what the Cowboys are probably going to have to do if they want to get one of these top coaches. You want to get a Cliff Kingsbury. You want to get a Ben Johnson, even a Mike Vrabel. I think what you've got to do is be willing to allow them eventually to make the personnel moves that they want to make. I don't know if Jerry and Steven are going to do that, but what the Broncos allowed Sean Payton to do, I think, is the path if you want to get one of these top-notch candidates that are going to be available in the offseason. All right, y'all. We're going to start wrapping things up. I know we've been going for a little while here. Appreciate all of y'all hanging out with me. I wish we could be doing it under better circumstances. The Cowboys lose this one 27-20 at the hands of the Bengals. A game that they should have won. Cooper Rush goes 16 for 31, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Was sacked 3 times. Couldn't hit wide open receivers multiple times in the fourth quarter. Rico Dowdle goes off. The Cowboys waste a performance from him. A great performance from him. 18 carries, 131 yards. CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown, 93 yards through the air, 6 receptions. And then on defense, Eric Kendricks, 12 total tackles. Donovan Wilson close behind with 9. Oruwariye with the big boneheaded mistake in the fourth quarter. Blocked punt. Oruwariye goes to recover the punt, and a big crowd of Bengals players bounces off of him. Bengals recover. 40-yard touchdown to Jamar Chase later, and the Bengals win this one 27-20. Painful season to be a Cowboys fan. We got a little taste. We got a little reprieve over the past couple of weeks with the Cowboys reeling off some wins, but they brought us back down to earth humbly tonight. Next week, we move on to Carolina. Believe that game is on the road, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look this up here. Carolina versus Dallas. See what we got here. Yes, Cowboys at Panthers. That game is going to be looks like 12 o'clock start Texas time, 10 o'clock out here for me in Vegas. I don't know. The Panthers are on the rise. The Cowboys are on the decline. It is just not going to shock me if the Panthers pull that one off. Let's see what the odds are, shall we? Let's see. Right now, it looks like the Panthers are a 1-point favorite at the moment, minus 120 on the money line. So Panthers currently favorites over the Cowboys in Week 15 this coming weekend. Cowboys, like I said, will play in the 12 o'clock slot if we're talking Central Time. I really don't want to see the Cowboys win a lot more games, y'all. If they do, look, I'm not going to whine about it, but I will say I think at this point you have got to get a good draft pick. Like, something positive has to come out of this season. So we'll still be here after the game on Sunday talking all things Cowboys. We will also go live on Wednesday, and we will do our MLB show where we focus on the Texas Rangers Rule 5 draft is on Wednesday. That should be fun. We'll talk Juan Soto free agent acquisition, and we'll go through all the big free agent moves of the MLB offseason. That'll be Wednesday, probably around a similar time, maybe slightly earlier. No Longhorns game this week. Playoff starts in a couple of weeks. The Longhorns will face off against the Clemson Tigers, a game that they will play at home at DKR. Should be a good one. Cade Klubnik coming back to his hometown. A lot of drama there. Looking forward to the college football playoff getting started. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Thank you for all of the comments, the questions. Thank you for the likes and all of you that followed or subscribed to the channel during the show today. If you're not following, you haven't subscribed yet, thank you in advance for hitting that follow or subscribe button. Stay up to date with all of our latest and greatest content here at Right on Rangers and get notified every time we go live, which is every few days, roughly Wednesdays, Saturdays, Sundays during the football season. Appreciate you guys. And if you know someone that loves the Cowboys, big Cowboys fan, Dallas Cowboys for life, we them boys, send them my way. Let's keep growing this good community of people that we got talking NFL, talking Dallas Cowboys. I love it. Everybody's welcome. Hope y'all have a great rest of the week. Hope you have a good Tuesday tomorrow. Wednesday would be nice, but Tuesday tomorrow and a good week ahead. Come back on Wednesday if you want. Otherwise, hope to see you on Sunday after the Panthers and Cowboys face off. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Cowboys.